Global Business Center right now, and this is my audience. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I titled my speech, How Infatuation Affects Teenagers. According to the Huffington Post, only 2% of new North American marriages are from high school sweethearts. So why don't more high school relationships last? I'll tell you. When I was 13, I knew this girl. She was smart, funny, and enjoyed being around me. She really made me feel good about myself. Of course, I had a crush on her and couldn't stop thinking about wanting to hang out and be with her. Being the 13-year-old kid I was, I felt sure that I was in love, and that this had to be true love. After getting to know her better, I realized she was crazy. Since then, I've had crushes on several girls, and most of them have turned out like the first. Crazy. The funny thing is, I always knew they were somewhat crazy, I just ignored the signs. This may not seem very dangerous, but it really can be a big problem when you're looking for a partner. This is a pretty serious condition, and it's quite common in most teenagers. It's called infatuation. Just the excitement that someone attractive likes you is enough to send chills through your body. But infatuation is so much more powerful than this, which leads to my research on the subject. Douglas Wilson says in his book, Future Men, a boy can seem to be developing into a rational creature, but when a girl enters the picture, this disappears. One moment he is upright and strong, a most promising young man, and the next moment, after a glimpse of her, he is barging into furniture and barking at the moon. I know from experience that this man is correct. A couple years ago, I was a sane little kid, and now I'm a hopeless case when it comes to pretty girls. Infatuation changes people. Whether you understand infatuation or not, it's nearly impossible to think clearly while you have a crush on someone. When I look back at some of the girls I've had crushes on, I realize I almost made a huge mistake. I don't believe I was compatible with those girls. We were too different. We had completely different worldviews and such. I understand that lots of people who have completely opposite personalities can still be happy in a relationship. But when you share as different beliefs as I did with those girls, you wonder how I ever thought I could be with them. It's all infatuation. Dr. Helen Fisher is a biological anthropologist who has written about infatuation. Her research has shown that infatuated people have the following symptoms. The lover focuses on their beloved's better traits and minimizes or overlooks their flaws. Second, the lovers become emotionally dependent on the relationship. Third, empathy is so powerful that many report they would die for their beloved. Fourth, an infatuated person thinks about their lover to an obsessive degree. These are things that have happened to me and continue to happen, even though I know this information. I've also seen this happen to many of my friends. They start dating a girl they barely even know, and she quickly becomes their entire world. And while I see the flaws in this girl, my friend is oblivious and won't even consider facts. Dr. Fisher scanned the brainwaves of couples who'd been together for 8 months and others that had been together for 28 months. She found that the couples who'd been together for longer had much more realistic view of their partner and their relationship in general, and the couples who hadn't been together very long were still in that rush of infatuation and couldn't think clearly about the other person. The longest relationship any of my friends my age have had is 6 months. I saw a lot of maturity in that relationship, and I know it was a benefit to both of them. One of the things they did right was being friends for a while before crossing that line. It's very important to have an accurate view of someone before you date them. How many times have you heard people say, they weren't who I thought they were? Probably a couple times at least. I think that this is because we can't think straight when we're infatuated. But later on, that excitement will fade, and people begin to see the flaws in each other, and there probably isn't as much attraction as there was a couple months ago. And this is how a lot of relationships end, when we start to think clearly again. To summarize, infatuation has taken hold of my generation, and it's hard to pick out true love that does exist. Infatuation blinds us and makes us think this person is perfect for me, but in reality, you may not even know the person very well at all. I actually thought I loved someone after knowing her for less than a week. That is how powerful infatuation